Our next guest provides creative engineering solutions that make architectural visions a reality. They're doing some very unique things, of course, with Autodesk software, among other cool things that they're doing. He's a structural engineer and principal with Rutherford and Chekene, is that?
Chekene, yes.
Chekene, all right. And his name is Dave Bleiman. Dave, welcome into Tomorrow. How you doing?
Great. How about yourself?
Doing very well, thank you. And we're learning a heck of a lot. This is a very cool facility. I'm sure you would agree.
It's great.
With the ability to share some great design ideas and I mean, we've got things from Mustangs, actual cars here in the gallery. And by the way, on the second floor, interesting video online about how they brought the car in through the window. Among other things, we've got models of the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge and all of the design elements involved in that, and you'll see some of these things on the video when you come by our site. But of course, Dave being involved in some very innovative design work, I understand, for the Biomechanical Life Sciences building for the University of California, Santa Cruz.
That's right. It was a great project for us, and it was one of the first projects where we were able to share three-dimensional models or BIM models, building information models, with our architectural clients as well as on the structural side. We're structural engineers. And it's about a $65 million project, so it was a significant effort for all of us.
Yeah, so the scope and scale of a project like this really required some special tools to help you with this process, no doubt.
Well, it does. You know, one of the interesting things was that the project occurred right at a time where we're really seeing some significant increases in the price of construction. So when we started the project, we found out on our first day of meetings that we were about 15 or 20% behind our budget.
Whoa, and that's early on.
That's
so you
right
can only
at the
imagine
start.
it's only going to get worse, right, if you don't fix it.
Exactly right. So one of the things that we did was we used our building information model to develop multiple design options early on to explore whether we would have a basement or no basement, moment frames or brace frames. And this was very unusual because normally this kind of analysis would take us months to do.
Yeah.
But because we were able to develop 4 models and have those models feed directly into our analysis software, we were really able to do that within weeks.
So that's amazing. Now, you weren't able to do this how many years ago even?
3 or 4 years ago, it would have been impossible.
So coming leaps and bounds in that kind of a process on the design side of things to say, okay, now, because things change, of course, in any project, certainly, and as you start building and as you start doing other things, you've got to make changes. It's kind of a living document, if you will. But here's a classic example of, okay, well, hold our horses. Some things need to be different.
Well, I think the idea here is to make sure that we explore all the options early on in detail so that we can develop rough order magnitude costs early on and make sure that we're making the right decisions so that we don't look backwards, we're only looking forwards.
So can I assume like the 3D design software from Autodesk played a role in a lot of these kinds of concerns?
Yes, we used Revit, which was the structural version of it, and the architect also used Revit for the architectural version.
And what were the kinds of things that helped you along that process, especially as it related to 3D?
Well, I think what helped us a lot was being able to combine the structure and the architecture in 3D. We were able to cut sections through the building and explore how they combine. In a regular process without 3D, we're always depending upon two-dimensional paper images, and the process goes much slower.
And so were you able to do things like load limits and you know, the typical kinds of concerns, because you mentioned earlier about maybe different columns or support beams or things like that. This is the kind of technology that can help you change things even midstream?
Well, we don't encourage that.
Yeah, I would imagine it's very difficult, and you want to avoid it if you can.
But you know, structural engineers have been modeling in 3D for many years on the analysis side, but all of our drawings are two-dimensional. So this is really a new opportunity for us to merge our three-dimensional design features software with the three-dimensional software we use for our drawings.
And of course, in this tough economy anyway, when you're able to save your client money, whether your client's the end user who's going to use the building or a home or whatever the case might be, or the client being a construction firm who's having to deal with all these things, I guess the impact can be fairly dramatic.
Well, it can, and in fact, on this project, the three-dimensional models that we provided for design will also be given to the contractor. So his subcontractors are already working in 3D, the people that do the ductwork and piping, and they'll be able to use our three-dimensional models as a background to do their layouts ahead of time.
Now see, there's another example of a very important element in construction, ductwork, piping, among other things. I wasn't even thinking about. I'm thinking in terms of, walls and floors and ceilings. And you got all this interior stuff, this infrastructure for the building that has to be dealt with just as importantly.
Well, on a laboratory building, it can represent 30 or 40% of the cost of the building.
Wow.
So it's a tremendous amount of infrastructure that has to go into a very small amount of space.
Where do you see this end of the industry headed into tomorrow from your perspective?
Well, I think there's a number of areas. For instance, I'd like to see more BIM used for energy and lead analysis because we have to be more sustainable in the future. I also would like to see us developing BIM models that go directly into fabrication. Maybe drawings will become a thing of the past.
Really? Or three-dimensional drawings. So it comes out as you're building in 3D anyway, and all this piping and ductwork and all of it's there.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll have to wear 3D glasses for that.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. Dave Bleiman with Rutherford and Chekene, and it's Ruthchek, or Ruthchek, if you will, RUTHCHEK.com. For more information, you'll see what he and his team are up to. Of course, we'll link you there when you visit our site. Thanks for joining us here from the Autodesk Gallery in San Francisco.
Thank you very much.
We're back with more. I'm Dave Graveline. Into Tomorrow continues right here on the Advanced Media Network.